What is up, everyone? It's Tyler Shelton. This is Coffee with a Bearded Reviewer. I'm your friendly neighborhood coffee snob. And today, folks, is going to be a episode where I'm going to be talking about one of the original evil beings of J.R.R. Tolkien's works, which is Melkor, or best known as Morgoth. And he was actually the very first Dark Lord in Tolkien's works. So all of you that might have heard of Sauron, he's not the original, but Morgoth is. But with that out of the way, let's get started with today's The Story of Morgoth. This is the story of Melkor, or his well-known name, Morgoth. He was the most powerful of the Valar, but turned to darkness and was renamed Morgoth, the definitive antagonist of Arda. All of the evil in the world of Middle-earth ultimately stems from him. One of the Maiar of Ule betrayed his kind and became Morgoth's principal lieutenant and his successor, Sauron, the one who is more familiar because of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Melkor is an interpretation of Satan, one of the greatest of all God's angels, Lucifer, but fallen through pride. He rebels against his creator. Before the creation of Arda, the universe of the world, Melkor was the most powerful of the Ainur, the angelic beings, including the Valar created by Eru Ilúvatar. Melkor, dissatisfied that Eru and abandoned the void, has sought to emulate his creator and fill the void with sentient beings. This, however, required the flame imperishable, the secret fire, which belonged to Eru Ilúvatar alone. So Melkor searched for it, but he couldn't find, in which he hoped that he would find an alternative expression of his own originality and creativity. He contended with Eru in the music of the Ainur, introducing what he perceived to be the themes of his own. During the great music of the Ainur, Melkor attempted to alter the music and introduced what he believed to be elements purely of his own design. As part of these efforts, he drew many weaker-willed Ainur to him, creating a counter to Eru's main theme. Ironically, these attempts did not truly subvert the music, but only elaborated Eru's original intentions. The music of Eru took on depth and beauty precisely because of the strife and sadness of Melkor's music. Unlike his fellow Ainu, Aule, Melkor was too proud to admit that his creations were simply discoveries, made possible entirely by Eru. Instead, Melkor aspired to the level of Eru, the true creator of all possibilities. Since the great music of the Ainur stood as a template for all history and of all creation of Middle-earth cycle, it was first sung before time, and then the universe was made in its image. The chaos introduced to the music by Melkor's disharmonies was responsible for all evil in Arda, and everything in Middle-earth was tainted or corrupted by his influence. It is all because of Melkor that Middle-earth had to face evil. He is the very embodiment of evil itself. Thus gave birth to the second Dark Lord, Sauron. After the creation, many Ainur entered to Ea. The most powerful of them were called the Valar, the powers of the world. The lesser, who acted as their followers and assistants, were the Maiar. They immediately set out to ordering of the universe and Arda within it, according to the themes of Eru, as best as they understood them. Melkor and his followers entered Ea as well, but he was frustrated that his colleagues would not recognize him as a leader of the new realm. Despite his having a greater share of knowledge and power and all the rest, in anger and in shame, Melkor set out, ruining and undoing whatever the others did. Each of the Valar was attracted to a particular aspect of the world that became the focus of their powers. Melkor was drawn to terrible extremes and violence, bitter cold, scorching heat, earthquakes, rendings, breakings, utter darkness, burning light. His power was so great that the first of the Valar were unable to restrain him. He single-handedly contended with collective might of all of the Valar. Arda never seemed to achieve a stable form until Vala Tokas entered Ea and tipped the balance. But Melkor was driven out by Tokas. He brooded in the darkness at the outer reaches of Arda, until an opportunity arrived when Tokas was distracted. Melkor re-entered Arda and attacked and destroyed the two lamps. Arda was plunged into darkness and fire, and Melkor withdrew his newly established dominion to Middle-earth. He dispersed agents throughout Arda, digging deep into earth and constructing great pits and fortresses, as Arda was marred by darkness and rivers of fire. After the fall of the lamps, the Valar withdrew to the land of Aman in the far west. The country where they settled was called Valinor, which they heavily fortified. Melkor held dominion over Middle-earth from his fortress of Autumno in the north. His first reign ended after the Elves, the eldest of the children of the Iluvatar, awoke at the shores, and the Valar resolved to rescue them from his malice. Melkor captured numbers of elves before Valar attacked him, and he tortured them, corrupted them, breeding the first orcs. The elves. The Valar waged a 7-year war against Melkor, defeating him. After laying a grievous siege to Autumno, the battles fought were shaped and marred Arda even further. After Melkor was defeated by Tokas, bound him with a specially forged chain, Agianor, and brought to Valinor, where he'll be imprisoned in the halls of Mandos for 3 ages. Upon his release, he was paroled to Valinor. Though a few of the Valar mistrusted him, he made a pretense of humility and virtue, but secretly plotted to harm toward the elves, whose awakening he blamed for his defeat. The Noldor, most skilled of the 3 kindreds of elves, had come to Valinor, where they were most vulnerable to his plots, since he had such knowledge, and they eagerly sought him out. And while instructing them, he awoke unrest and discontent among them. When the Valar became aware of, they sent Tokas to arrest him, but Melkor already fled, and he was aided by Ungoliant, the mother of all giant spiders. He destroyed the 2 trees of Valinor, slew the king of Noldor, Finwë, and stole the 3 Silmarils, the jewels of Finwë's son Feanor, which were filled by the light of the trees. Feanor thereupon named him Morgoth, or best known as Black Foe. During the ensuing War of Wrath, Beleriand and such North Middle-earth was destroyed and reshaped. Morgoth summoned many men to aid him during his 50-year conflict, which became the largest and the longest and the bloodiest conflict ever fought in Arda's history. In the end, Morgoth was utterly defeated, and his armies were almost entirely slaughtered. The dragons were almost all destroyed. Anclagon the Black, the largest dragon, crashed upon as he fell against the elves. The few remaining dragons were scattered, and the handful of surviving Balrogs hid themselves deep within the earth. He fled to the deepest pit and begged for a pardon, but his feet were cut from under him. His crown was made into a collar, and he was chained once again by the Arginor. The Valar exiled him permanently from the world, thrusting him through the door of night into the void, excluded from Arda until the prophesied Dagor Dagorath, when he would meet his final destruction. His evil remained, however, as Arda marred, and will be influenced by all living creatures. This is the story of Melkor, Morgoth, the original evil of Middle-earth. His very existence is fully represented as God Satan, Lucifer himself. He will forever be remembered in Middle-earth. In Arda, Valinor, the entire world knew about him. His very evil is the very thing that gave birth to another evil, Sauron, his first lieutenant when he was the first Dark Lord. But Sauron continued his practices in necromancy, sorcery, and pure evil that led into the Third Age until the Fellowship of the Ring defeated him. So that was the story of Morgoth, and I hope all of you really enjoyed that. I'm going to be doing more stuff like this, and I'm really hoping that you really enjoyed this, and I'm really hoping that I can keep on working on other videos where I'm going to be talking about like specific characters, because the very first one I've done was about Magneto, and you all know who the actor is that played him typically was Gandalf the White himself, Sir Ian McKellen. But I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and if you have not yet done so, please subscribe to my channel, as it really helps me out. And also, press that like button. Don't press the dislike button, that's a bad one. Anyways, keep on drinking coffee, and I will see you guys next time.